Good morning and welcome to FlossTube number 11. My name is Christine. On Instagram I am CMD586 and today it is Monday, January 8th. And this is my first FlossTube of 2018. I'm gonna try to speed this up a little bit because this might be a long one. I talked about last time wanting to do a whip parade and a parade of finishes. I'm going to do a parade of finishes in this video. I'm going to hold off, however long this video is, I'm going to hold the whip parade, because I don't know how long that video might take, for a separate video, which I may film today, but regardless it will be separate. But I might not film it today. It might be a while before you see that. But that will be my next video of 2018. Let's get started. First off, I wanted to thank some people. On my last video, I got several people giving me some helpful hints on a couple of things. First, Candy Stitches contacted me. You know, I posted that that thing about the Wicked Christmas from that designer in Italy, and I was talking about how she didn't offer PDF charts, and Candy, which I don't know why it didn't occur to me myself, but Candy said that she has contacted that woman and asked her for to make a PDF for her, and that she has. So I haven't done that yet because for other reasons that are about to be discussed, I'm cutting my personal spending quite heftily. So right now I have not purchased that, but I'm really grateful to Candy for making a suggestion to me that I probably should have thought of myself, but you know, I didn't. So thank you, Candy, for suggesting that I might be able to get her to make me a PDF. Hopefully, since she did it for you, she'll do it for me. You know, I don't know why designers don't. If I was, you know, well, anywhere in the world, you know, since cross stitching is kind of you know, all over the place, whether you're in the United States or not. If I was a designer and I had the ability to do so, I would absolutely offer PDFs to people as opposed to regular charts. And because you can charge well, you can charge whatever you want for them, but you could, usually you pay, you know, just a few dollars less or whatever for slightly less for a PDF. But you know, you can make the money without spending the money on the shipping and the you know, and the printing and stuff like that. And yeah, it's a little riskier because people might share your designs and stuff like that. And I'd certainly rather have the paper copy because I like to be able to pass on designs, and obviously I don't do that if it's a PDF. You know, but I think that these designers, if they have the ability to do PDFs, they should be putting that on their Etsy shop because that would really encourage a person to buy, I would think. It's definitely encouraging me to buy, and I would have already bought, except I can't. So thank you, Candy, Candy Stitches. I'm sure you guys all watch her channel. The other people, several people, gave me some very helpful hints on finding more thread minders or floss organizers, the fancy ones that I have been talking about liking and not being able to find that many of them. Andrea at I Heart Cross Stitch, she helped me, and Jilly Pepper 5353 and Anna Goye, I don't know if it's Goye or Goye, Goyea, and Stitch Witch 42. All of those, and I think that's all. I hope I didn't miss anybody. All of those people were very kindly pointed me in the direction of more like thread minders, and also told me like pointed me in the direction of some specific sellers like on Etsy, but also gave me other keywords to try. And so now I've found quite a bit more. So but again, not allowed to buy right now. And now let's get to why I'm not allowed to buy. So I decided I'm going to StitchCon in Cincinnati in June. I live all the way in Alaska, and it's a project for me to get there. And you know, travel from here is expensive, and I had kind of like just been like, you know, I'm just gonna be jealous, and I'm not gonna do these things until we live. You know, in a few years, we're probably gonna live in the lower 48 again. And meanwhile, we just don't. We to travel, but we it's expensive to travel. So you know, we are pretty conservative about traveling. But I realized that I kind of added up the cost, and I realized that that with the amount of stitching stuff I have and the amount of that I have budgeted for myself to spend every month on stitching stuff, that if I just curtail that pretty heavily, then I can easily more than afford to go to this stitching retreat. So I registered, and I got my confirmation that I got in, and then I got my plane tickets, and this morning I got my hotel reservations. And I thought I was Johnny on the spot. I didn't want to make a hotel reservation until after I made my plane ticket reservation, you know, just because you're not sure, you know, you're going to be there the day before, you know, that kind of thing. You never know when plans might change slightly once you start getting into getting the plane reservation. So I got my plane reservation last night. Reservations. I'm bringing my husband with me. He's not going to he's not registered for the StitchCon. He doesn't stitch, but he will be my roommate. and he will do whatever he wants, you know, while I'm busy hanging out with you guys and stitching. We got our plane tickets last night, and then first thing in the morning for me, which was like 8 a.m. for me, and but like all the way over there it's like 11 or noon or something, and I called them up and I said I want to make reservations for June, and they said, oh, you must be with StitchCon. And I was like, oh, you must have been hearing from some of us. And he said, yeah, we're almost full. And fortunately, they had room. I could have got a suite, which wouldn't have been too bad. He said the suites would have been $129, and that would have been a luxury. But I didn't want to spend, you know, it's already expensive to do this kind of thing, so I didn't want to do that. But fortunately, they had rooms with king size beds, and since my husband's going to be my roommate, that's perfectly fine. But anyway, so we're all squared away for that. Our son is going to be out of town during that time visiting his grandparents, so it's perfect. We don't have to worry about him. And we'll have to get a cat sitter, and we'll have to put our dog is high maintenance. She's a beagle, and we don't trust her to a house sitter. And don't want to inflict her on a house sitter. So we put her in she goes to a doggy daycare type thing that she really likes, that she has only gone to a few times, but they're really nice to them there, and we always pay for all kinds of extra stuff, and it costs us a bunch of money. So that'll be a few $100s more. But you know, I like my husband's company, and it'll be nice to have him with me, and he'll be fine. Like he'll let me do all the stitching I want and all the socializing with you guys and stuff that I want, and he'll take care of himself. And then when I happen to have downtime, then we'll spend time together if there's time. But otherwise, he will explore on his own, and he'll be a happy camper, and it will be great. Okay, so that's StitchCon. Oh, if you're not aware of StitchCon, it's too late to register, but they do have, they are taking a waiting list. So, you know, they took 150 registrants. I registered 1 minute after it opened up. The only thing I would do differently next time is I would probably make that hotel reservation right away. Because even if you have to change a hotel reservation, you might lose a deposit or something, but it's better to not wait on that, evidently. So, I mean, I thought I was pretty quick, but I'm guessing some people made hotel reservations before they even for sure had confirmations and that sort of thing. Anyway, if you really want to go, they do have a waiting list, and with 150 registrants, it's very possible that somebody's going to have something happen and they're not going to be able to make it, and you might get in on the waiting list. So if you're interested in that, you should check that out anyway. Alrighty, so stuff I got. I won't be getting much. I got some stuff for Christmas, of course. I won't be getting much in the near future, other than, you know, I will be buying I may be buying, you know, a piece of fabric here and there and DMC and little things, but I'm not going to be buying big projects and stuff like that, not until after StitchCon. And if I save my money really well and have some money, and of course I want to have some extra money budgeted to spend, I will probably want to spend it at StitchCon, because I know Sue Hillis is going to be there, and you know, I'm gonna want to have some fun. So my stuff I got portion of these videos might get kind of boring. What I did get, I got the Soda Stitch patterns that I had ordered from Trisha at 3 Owl Threads, who's now distributor for Soda Stitch. I got the In the Fairy Tales book. I think Garrett Coffee Stitcher is doing this one. That one. And I got one of their newer ones. I believe this is one of their newer ones. Pasta Time. One of the things I had my husband do, because I have a huge amount of stash now in terms of kits and whips and things. I'm not huge compared to many people, but plenty. I decided to have my husband spend a bunch of money, pick colors of RIT dye and buy them for me. So he did. I won't show you those. He bought me like 15 different bottles of RIT dye, so that to encourage me to do some more fabric dyeing. He did for Christmas get me the Time Traveler chart, which I've been talking about forever, and I already have fabric for it. I don't have the beads or Krynic or anything like that, and I have some of the DMC, so I still have to gather materials for it, but which won't stop me once I get going on it. Like, in my tightened budget, I will still be buying DMC and stuff like that. I'll be buying a few things here and there. I'm just going to slow down on the buying of big expensive pieces of fabric and charts, like, you know, whims. I'm not going to be spending time on Stash and Load and eBay and stuff hunting for ways to spend my money, which will be good. But you know, if I need another skein of something for fabric, or if I get to the point where I need the beads and the Krynic and stuff like that, chances are I will go ahead and buy them. I am signed up for Trisha at 3 Owl Threads. I am signed up for her $33 a month gassed 10-yard skein auto ship program, and I didn't cancel that. Number one, because I really want to support her, and I have held off for a very long time on joining any of these Fabric of the Month or Thread of the Month or anything like that subscription things, and you know, having it be Trisha and having it be gassed and having it be 10-yard skeins, which, you know me, I like to buy bigger so that I have it for more than one project or whatever, you know. If there's bigger skeins, buy the bigger skeins, you know, if you can afford it. So I decided to go ahead and get the 10-yard skeins, and I'm gonna stick with that $33 a month. So okay, then I had my husband he got me the fabric. Well, that's interesting. Okay, something fell out of its bag. That's okay. He got me the fabric I need for some of my Victoria sampler patterns. That's pretty boring, but useful. And he bought me, so that I will do more fabric dyeing. I have some cheap pieces of fabric laying around, but I had him buy me a yard of 32 count white. And I thought, yeah, this is Belfast. I really thought that I was getting, I want to check, because I really thought I was getting 32 count Belfast white Zweigert, but I don't see an orange line on this, so apparently I didn't. Maybe I didn't. That might be on purpose. I might have just wanted the least expensive, biggest thing in 32 count that I could get. It does appear to be Belfast, because I see some slight unevenness. Yeah, it looks like it's Belfast. It's not even weave. Not that any of that really matters. Like I said, I was probably just going for what's your least expensive 32 count, because 32 count, even though I love 36 count and stuff like that, 32 count, it still remains like the most common size I use, because 36 count and 40 count and stuff like that, although they're wonderful if your pattern calls for metallics or beads or, you know, special stuff, it may be that that one of those really tight fabrics won't. I can't get it back in the bag. They had it in there really tight. That one of those higher counts won't work real well, and I wanted, because I want to play with dyeing, I wanted something that, you know, was that I could think to use for a lot of things. So so I got that. That's all the stuff I got. Now I did try my hand at dyeing with some of the this is a cheap 32 count. It's darker in real life than it appears on here. Cheap 32 count from a tube from Joanne, and it didn't at all turn out like I intended, but I'm happy with it. The more I look at it, the more I like it, the more I, you know, but I'm new to this fabric dyeing thing, and I'm trying to sort of recognize that the effect I'm going for may not be the result I get on many occasions. But you know, it's a learning experience, and as I play with it, I'll figure out how dark things really are going to be and that sort of thing. But I am I was kind of trying to do something, and this is the Soda Stitch in the fairy tales. I was going for something I could do on that. I'm envisioning doing that because I don't think there's any back stitch to speak of, and there appears to be only whole stitches. I'm actually thinking about doing that project 1/1 on 32 count, and I was going for something that would work for that, which this still might, but it's a lot darker than I intended it to be, and that's interesting. The lighting just did something. Oh, okay. Anyway, whatever. Lighting's doing something funny. Anyway, it's a lot darker than I intended it to be, and I don't know if it'll work with that still. But I have lots of interesting ideas for that. Some Michael Powell stuff might look good on that. It looks a little bit like the color that Bendy Stitchy dyed for some of her little Michael Powell things that she's doing. I think mine is lighter than hers, but and it was meant to be much lighter. But anyway, it will get used for sure. Okay, so that's kind of all the stuff I got. Let's move on to whips. So the startitis continues. And I started 3 things, but I finished. I really surprised myself. Well, one of them I kind of knew I would finish, but I finished 2 of the 3 things I started, and so the first 2 I'm not even going to show you because I'm going to show them in my parade of finishes, which I will do on this video. So the 2 that I started and finished are Lovely Are the Hours, which is the band sampler that I got for free, that I didn't order, that I either won or came as a freebie with my order from Stitcher's Paradise, and that I was sort of like, I don't know if I'll do this, and then by the time I was done talking about it, I was like, yeah, I'm doing it. Well, I did it. It only took me 5 days. I got it out, and I started going on it, and I loved it, and it's done. And that really surprised me. I had no idea I was going to get it done. Man, I love a band sampler. Band samplers are wonderful because generally each thing just kind of, each section, each band, with some exceptions, each band on a typical band sampler doesn't take an enormous amount of time, and so each part of it is like this lovely little thing that you feel some level of satisfaction when you complete that one band. There was a main section of it that was like the beehive and sort of the garden around the beehive, and that one took me several hours, but the rest of it took me just, you know, 30 minutes to an hour or 2 on a band, and so I finished it in about 5 days, and I love it. It's beautiful. I will be giving the pattern away, but I'm not going to do any giveaways on this video just because I have too many other things to do. But I will be giving that pattern away. This surprise sort of little sal. I've said I don't do sals, or I try not. I don't not do them. I try not to do sals because I just kind of want to stitch what I want to stitch, and you know, I commit to them and I get excited, and then I don't feel like doing them, and then I feel pressure and guilty and stuff like that. So I generally don't do sals. But a lady I've gotten to know just a tad from through my friend Carla Eldridge, she ran a New Year's Eve mystery sal, and it was basically that it was a free pattern on her blog, and I'm gonna link below to her blog because she's really great. It may be the only link I put below today, but on this video, but I'm going to do that. Basically, for me, it was like the day before New Year's Eve. She started releasing pieces of the pattern, and it was a 12-part pattern. And every 3 hours she would release a portion of it, and you can still get the pattern for free. And you end up with this little, it was like 41 by 41, and she just kind of she told you how big it would be, and that there would be like no specialty stitches, no back stitching, no fractionals, and that you would need 4 colors, and she had color suggestions, and but you could do whatever you wanted, and then she released, so you could prepare as much or as little as you wanted beforehand. I got my fabric out beforehand, but I didn't bother picking floss and stuff like that, and I just waited for the first color to release, and I used her suggested colors where I could. 2 of her 4 suggested colors I was able to use because I had them, and the other 2 I got really close, just because, you know me, I like to follow directions. so I you know, I didn't think real far outside the box, and I did it on 32 count lamb's wool, some of the extra fabric that from the Lizzie Kate project that my friend Carla had given me, which I felt was very appropriate. And I did it over 1 on that. So it's really itty bitty, and I even FFO'd it, because if you FFO it, she puts your name in a hat, and you're gonna be drawn for the possibility of winning a prize. And I'm gonna give you a link to her because this sal went over well. And, you know, it was a real short commitment. I knew I could start and finish something within, you know, basically a day or 2. And it would give me my last finish of my 20th finish of 2017. And it was, you know, I had the time to do it at the time. So it wasn't like something that like weighed on me. Oh, I signed up for that, now I'm not doing it. You know, I had the time to do it at the time, so I did it. And it was really fun. And it was fun getting that, you know, I stitched on something big meanwhile, and then she'd release this bit of this project, and every 3 hours, and usually only took me like 20 to 30 minutes at the most to stitch up that little bit, and then you'd post your progress and then set it aside and work on your bigger project and wait for the next bit to come out. So I did that. So that was my 20th and final finish of the year, and I made a little mini pillow ornament out of it. I really wanted to make a biscornu out of it, but I was scared, so I didn't. But I'm going to soon. I promise you, Carla, I will make a biscornu soon. So next, I worked on Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow. And let me show you a picture of where it was when you last saw it. I made a lot of progress on this sucker. And I quit working on it just because I was kind of dying to start something new. So this is where I got. So I got a good chunk done, and I'm really thrilled with it. I love it. I love the colors. I'm doing it all on the NPIs. For those of you who may not remember, I'm doing it on 40 count ale, all of the called for threads, the NPIs, and 1 strand over 2. And I started in the center, which is unusual for me, but worked pretty good for these. for these projects. So I did that, made good progress on that. I got out my Victorian charm, and first off, I transferred all my threads from my Victorian charm onto my beautiful fancy thread organizer that is totally worth 10 bucks from Russia. And what I did is I looked at the order that these threads are on in the thread number key, not the key where it gives you the symbols, because there's blends and stuff, but the thread number key. I used that order, and then I put a little tiny 1 on the back because this is round. I didn't want to lose my place. A little tiny 1, and there are exactly 27 different threads in this actually. So, and 28 is what this thing holds. So I have one blank space, but that's okay. It helps me remember actually where my starting point is. And then I just wrapped them around in order. And so now when I need a thread, if I can't remember which one it is, I look at the number and it says, you know, and I've numbered them on the chart for my ease, you know, and I say, oh, it's thread number 10, I need that, and maybe it's a blend because there's quite a few blends, and so I can easily find what I need that way. And I just love the way it looks. Oh, what colors. Okay, and then let me show you a picture of where it was when last you saw it. There you go. And here is where I am now. I made a lot of progress, and this is fun and easy. So very, very much enjoying this. And I worked on that for several days, and then I burnt out, and I decided I needed something easy. So I started Wanda's Witchery. And I worked on it for 2 nights. You know, most of the first night I didn't work on it very much. I didn't work on it very much the first night. I mainly just sorted the threads. And plus this weekend I had some social commitments, so I didn't have as much time as I wanted. So 2 days. It doesn't even look like 2 days, but that's okay. Sorry, I spilled the contents of the project bag for that all over the place. I had it turned upside down evidently. Okay, so that is all of my whips. Now, I am going to do a finish parade. So, let me just put some of these things back so I don't, so I can stay just a tad organized. So, I'm going to do a finish parade. First off, before I start with the finishes, I want to show you my Ort stitch. I talked about this way back when. Basically, I got the idea from Katie Agruso, who was doing something similar, but then she stopped. Sorry, this is the way it goes. Then she stopped. So here's my Ort stitch. It's on 28 count black Jobelan. I think it looks amazing. And I'm going to make a little pillow out of it. I had been debating about whether to, you know, separate the ears or what. And I decided to separate out the ears. So I'm going to make like a little pillow or flat ornament or something out of it. And then on the back, I will say the year. So basically what I did, I got the idea from Katie Agruso. She was doing something similar. I think she kind of quit hers, but nevertheless, she inspired this. Every time I pick up a thread to work on a project on a particular day, I put 1 stitch of that in here. And I did mine 5 by 5 blocks so that I would kind of clump them together so that I might see projects within here. And I can tell that this is Jupiter's moon, that this splotch of brown is Jupiter's moon, and I can tell the difference in the silk thread, so I can see like when I was working on Halloween at, well, yes, Halloween, but also Shores of Hawk Run Hollow. And I can see my wool threads from my Realist kits, and I can see beads that I put in from mostly Mill Hill kits. And so this year I'm doing the same thing, the same idea, but this year I'm doing it very slightly differently in that when I set aside a project to get on a new project, I'm using I'm using 2 strands of Krynic gold blending filament to outline, just very subtly, but you can see it, to outline that section of thread so I can really see where the different projects are. So it's going to be very similar, but just that slight little difference. Okay, so now I had 20 finishes this year, and I'm going to try to do them in order. There may be a little shuffling, but I'm going to try to do them in order of when I finished them. And I even have dates written down that I think are accurate. I have my doubts about one of them, but you know, you don't care. So anyway, my first finish of 2017 was on January 7th. I finished this Mill Hill carriage. This is part of the autumn collection. It's a pumpkin carriage, obviously, and it's finished as a magnet. There's a magnet on the back. And I finished that on January 3rd, 2017. On January 12th, 2017, I finished my it's an autumn pincushion. It doesn't have a name. It's a hedgehog, obviously. He looks like he's vomiting, but those are, I think, a pile of leaves. And I finished it like I actually fully finished it. It's not that great of a full finish, but I'm cool with it. I finished it. It's on 14 count Aida, I think just a white. It's full coverage, obviously, so it doesn't matter. I used 3 strands because I wanted it really thick coverage. And then I used a 14 count navy Aida on the back just because I thought it looked nice with the, and I hand stitched it, no sewing machine, and my hand stitching it looks nice there. This must have been the side that I filled, because it looks much nicer on the other sides. But anyway, these are from, there's like a set of 6 autumn pincushions in one of the cross stitch magazines, and they also have a set of like Christmas ones, and I think summer ones. I think there's 3 separate sets, and I want to do all of them. I have all the patterns, so there is that. I did on January 22nd, I finished Wonderland by the Pixel Parade. She has several of these similar mini samplers. She's got an Etsy shop you should visit. It's the Pixel Parade. She's also on Instagram. But Wonderland. She's got one for Aladdin and one for Peter Pan and one for the Little Mermaid. And I own all the patterns, and I'm going to do them all. So there's that. So on February 3rd, I finished Hermie from the Rudolph Christmas ornament kit from Dimensions. So I will show you a picture of it here. That's Hermie. He's the elf from who really wants to be a dentist from the Rudolph movie. Let's see, on March 19th, I finished one of the Ice Cream Ladies from Soda Stitch. This is the second one I finished, but the other one I finished in 2016, I believe. So this is, I believe, Blueberry Ice Cream Lady. She's on 32 count, Weeks Dye Works, gunmetal. It's kind of a good chalkboardy type fabric. And I know a lot of people don't like the Weeks Dye Works fabrics, but I don't have a problem with the Weeks. They are significantly different from Zweigert, but not bad in my opinion. I think though that one of the reasons I don't have a problem working with them is that I use them, I stitch in hand. I think the main complaint people seem to have is that when you stretch them on their Q-snaps or the hoops or whatever, things just get kind of wonky and they can't get them straight, and you know, they don't like that, which is totally understandable. But I stitch everything scrunched up in my hand anyway, so it doesn't really matter to me, and so I don't mind. That was March 19th. On April 17th, I finished Haunted Laboratory by Mill Hill. Love the Mill Hills. Man, I love the Mill Hills. On April 26th, and this is the one I have a doubt about on the date. I think I was taking my dates from Instagram posts, and I don't think it's right. I was taking my dates from Instagram posts, and I posted about this one, I think, kind of like as an afterthought later, because I did this as a model stitch, and I think I did it significantly earlier. I was also doing it as a gift for my husband, I think for our anniversary, which is February 24th. So I probably actually finished this around February 20th or something like that. But my date that I posted about on Instagram, which is the only date I think I've gotten written down, is that I finished my Dirty Banana on April 26th. And you can see hoop marks in it, even though I don't stitch in a hoop. It's going to get finished in a hoop. And so that was me testing out my finishing in a hoop. It was supposed to get finished in a hoop and given to my husband, you know, like almost a year ago. He's aware of it. It says, "I find you very appealing." And it's available on an Etsy shop. I can't remember the name of the the designer off the top of my head right now. If you really care and can't find it on the Etsy shop, ask me and I can dig it out for you, because I can totally do that. Okay, next I finished the Santa Rudolph ornament. That was on June 7th. And I was on a Rudolph kick, so following that, I did the Rudolph ornament on June 11th. There's a picture of that. And right after that, I went on to Clarice on June 13th. I finished that, so it only took me a couple of days to do Clarice, and then I was good and burned out on Rudolph. So then I got together, I met in person for the first and possibly the last time, but hopefully not, my friend Carla Eldridge, right before she moved out of town, and she gave me this incredibly generous gift of a couple of patterns along with the fabric and everything I needed to do them, and one of the things she gave me was Luna. I ended up doing this on different fabric, just because I wanted to, but she did give me the called for fabric and stuff to do it. But I did Luna, all of her materials and her pattern, and I finished her, I started her right after Clarice, and I finished her on June 30th, and I just stitched like crazy on her. It's one of those ones where you like, you don't really think you're going to finish it when you start it, but then you just can't stop and you do. So, so that is Luna. That was June 30th. Then on August 5th, I finished my little, the chicken or the egg is what this is called. It's a Mill Hill, I think it's an autumn, one of their autumn harvest series, that was given to me by Nell. It came to me in a giveaway, amongst many other generous things, but I got it and I stitched up right away. It took me just a couple of days. Finished that on August 5th. Then I also on, you know, when people give me things, I just want to use them. And so it does encourage me, you know, it's kind of hard, it's kind of hard to use everything right away that somebody gives you, that everybody gives you, but I'm more inclined, like I really want to, I really appreciate when I get a gift, and it makes me want to use, not that I feel bad if I don't get to it for a while, but it really, like, I'm inclined to use something right away if I've been given it. So Nell, I stitched the chicken right away because she gave that to me, but she also gave me some fabric, and she gave me this fabric, this 25 count mushroom Lugana, I believe, and I used it in pretty short order. I used it right away to stitch up Halloween is in the Air. This is a Stony Creek pattern that I bought from my friend Susanna Rosenkrantz, and I stitched this 1/1 on this 25 count mushroom. I'm pretty into 1/1 these days. I feel like if something is mostly or all whole stitches, and there's not a lot, and there's no beads and stuff, and there's no not much in the way of back stitching, that is kind of nice. It works pretty good to do it 1/1, and then you can make something itty bitty, and you can save fabric, and you can save floss, and it just looks really cool. So so I'm kind of into 1/1 these days. Then after I did that, boy, I was on a finishing spree in August. I did Halloween Cat, which I stitched as part of a stitch along with my friend Carla again. And they do a yearly Carla and Leo's Halloween stitch along. And I love Halloween, and I wanted to do something with Carla, so I don't know if I participate next year or not. I'll certainly pay attention. They choose the patterns. They give us a selection of patterns, and you pick one of them. You pay for it. It's not free, but the pattern, I mean. You get to choose from their selection, and then stitch along with them. This one started in August, and I started right on August, and I finished it on August 23rd. I just went fast on this one. I did this on 32 count Blue Spruce by Zweigart, which I think is a pretty good color for this. I had my doubts about some of the blues not showing up, but it worked great. That was started on the 15th and finished it on August 23rd. Then on September 1st, I had a surprise finish. I got out F is for Fairy, and I didn't think I would stitch it until it was finished, but I did. This is one of the Victoria's samplers, learning samplers. She has one for every letter of the alphabet. Well, XYZ is done as one, but otherwise she has one for every letter of the alphabet. The called for fabric, which is what I used, is 28 count platinum. So I have B, D, and V in my stash with the embellishment packs, and thanks to my husband for Christmas, I have the fabric needed for him. So those are ready to start. Then I finished, oh, here's another picture to show you, Bumble of the Rudolph ornaments. And then that was September 13th. And then on November 3rd, I finished the last of the Rudolph ornaments, the Snowman. And I'm not showing you those in person today because they're put away with the Christmas stuff, because they are actual ornaments. So so they will be put away. So then I started. Nope. Well, I did start and finish. It's another one that I just started and went great guns on and finished. Talked about it quite extensively in my last video, so I'll be brief. Snow White by the Primitive Hare. I did it on 36 count ale as opposed to the called for fabric, but I used all of the called for threads, the Gast and the DMC. And then I had my unexpected finishes. I started that Lovely Are the Hours that I talked myself into doing, and I'm so glad I did. It's still not my style in terms of decor, but it was really fun to do. I think the colors are not really my thing, but it was really fun to do. I love the beehive with the bees. I very much enjoyed working with the pearl. Pearl's not that fun to work with, but I enjoyed the several spots where I like the effect. I like the look of it. I also I think I'd done it before, but I've forgotten how. This is the cup stitch, and that's really impressive. I like the cup stitch quite a lot. And it says, "Lovely are the hours spent in a garden of herbs and flowers." And they sent, with the beads in this, you get exactly the number of beads called for. Well, I mean, I I assume it's an embellishment pack that came with it, but I got exactly the number of beads called for, which, you know, made me a little nervous because I tend to lose beads as I'm working with them. But I'm also used to just working with like piles of Mill Hill beads, and, you know, where usually you get just a ton of extra. Then finally, I did my New Year's Eve sal. And the pattern, the blue outline is my own. But so everything but that blue outline is the pattern. And I did it on 1/1, so it's itty bitty. It's 41 stitches by 41 stitches. I did it 1/1 on 32 count lamb's wool. And then I cross stitched another piece of the lamb's wool to the back, which was quite laborious on such a tiny count. And then I frayed the edges, and it's finished. It's a cute little thing. I'm not sure what I'll do with it. I mean, I think it might even make a good little Christmas ornament. You could hang it, but I think I'm gonna, this is not particularly Christmassy, but that doesn't matter. I mean, I have, you know, plenty of Christmas ornaments that aren't really Christmassy hanging on my Christmas tree. I think I need like a, not a double, but, you know, just something like a little basket or something that I can just pile pretty you know, pretty little miscellaneous things like this in it, like pillows and biscorners that are in my future, etc., that I can just pile in there just to look pretty and that people can, you know, touch and hold, and that I can get pleasure out of. So so that's it for this video. I am going to do a whip parade. I'm going to do a completely separate video. I don't have any idea how long that will take me. I also wanted to say I joined the Whipocalypse Sal, the Facebook group. I mean, it's in Sal, you know, but it's not really, it's pretty loose. I don't make a lot of plans, but I do like to count. I like to count. I also, I like to keep records. I like to, you know, kind of make myself accountable for what I'm doing and what I'm ignoring and that sort of thing. And I do like to, a lot of times I will count stitches. So I joined the Whipocalypse. It's kind of like Year of Whips, but it's less structured, and you just kind of set goals for yourself, and you can kind of do whatever you want. So so I made a list of all of my whips. I did buy a domain to possibly set up a blog, but I don't know if I'm going to do that part of it or not. You don't have to. But I did, you know, it was only $12.99 to buy the domain, so I went ahead and did it. So I'll keep you posted if I end up actually putting something on that blog. But my plan is to kind of give myself points, and I don't know what I'll do with those points. If anything, maybe just keep record. I made a list of all of my whips, and not just all of my whips, but all of the things that, like the Victoria Sampler learning samplers that are not yet started, but, you know, I've said it before. I feel like if I have basically all the materials, or most all of the materials to do a project, and it's just sitting in my stash, it's not any more virtuous to me to like not start it than it is to start it. Because I'm more concerned about buying excessive stuff that I'm not using than I am about starting excessive stuff. I've definitely started excessive stuff, but I don't care. It's the buying and the gathering and the hoarding that I for myself, I don't want to do. If I've got the project on hand, got, you know, everything but some of the DMCs or whatever, or, you know, got the bulk of what I need to do the project, you know, the pattern and the fabric and specialty fibers, you know, the expensive stuff, then I don't feel like it's any better to have that sitting around not started than it is to start it. And so I made a list of not just my whips, but all of the things in my stash that are ready to go or close enough to be ready to go, that I felt like that I could start them without spending an enormous amount of money. And then I, throughout the year, I'm going to make a note of each day I work on each thing and how many stitches I put in and on them on total. And I'm going to give myself 1 point for everything that I put in at least 2,000 stitches of. And if I finish a project, and it may be less than 2,000 stitches, it's going to get another point. And if I FFO it, it's going to get another point. And for the projects that are big, I'm going to give myself a point for putting in just 2,000 stitches on it to sort of encourage myself to do the stitching on it, to touch it significantly. But I'm also going to give myself a point for anything that I do more than 10,000 stitches on. And then at the end of the year, anything on that list that I haven't touched at all, I will subtract a point to encourage me to get in 2,000 stitches on everything. Or, you know, if it's a small thing and doesn't take 2,000 stitches, which there are a few things like that that'll be finished before that, then I will give myself a point for that. But I have a few things where, like, at the very end of my list, I've got a list of things that I might or might not start, but I won't be giving myself negative points for them if I don't do them and touch them because I don't have, you know, the stuff for them or whatever. Like, maybe I haven't even bought the pattern. You know, like in the case of, like, Wicked Christmas, I really, really want that thing, but I may not buy it at all this year. But I put it on there because there's a very, very good chance that I will buy it. However, you know, it's going to be kind of expensive probably, and so I'm you know, it might not happen. So it's not going on the list as like a negative if I don't touch it. But anyway, so that's what I'm doing for my Wopocalypse, and I have to make an introductory post. I'm kind of a day late already on that, and I don't know if I'll get to it today, but you know, it's so I'm just as a way of keeping track of things, because I'm like a record keeper. You know, I can't put myself in a position where I feel bad if I don't touch absolutely everything and stuff like that. But I do like to encourage myself to work on all the different things, and I really like to pay attention to what I am working and what I'm ignoring, and just kind of, you know, but in more of a positive way than, you know, than a negative way, whatever that means for you. For me, it means basically, if I tell myself I have to stick to this rotation, or I have to do things in a particular order or anything like that, or I have to get this many stitches in or whatever, I won't do it. But if I, you know, give myself kudos of some sort for accomplishing these things, you know, then I can get some it just encourages me, but in more of a positive way rather than like a guilt way. So anyway, so that's that. So thank you for joining me. I'm not sure when I'm gonna film my whip parade. I might even do it today, but I haven't 100% decided. But I will do a separate video for that, so look for that. You'll be able to tell if I'm wearing the same outfit, whether I did it today or some other time. And that may involve like a lot of inserting of pictures and stuff like that, for electronic patterns and things. So so it may take quite a bit of editing and that sort of thing. Otherwise, and I'm not sure when the next time a regular video will come from me, because just depends on how long it takes me to get the whip parade up and edited, and whether I feel like I need a break after that or not. So it may be a regular 2 weeks before you see another video, or maybe the whip parade you see in 2 weeks. But anyway, so thanks for joining me. I'm just babbling now. I look forward to seeing some of you in Cincinnati, meeting you for real. I'm excited about that, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye bye.